Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's a cheesy, crowd-pleasing dip that's easy to make. Here to share a tasty recipe from the January-February edition of Milk Street Magazine. We welcome back editorial director at Christopher Kimball's Milk Street, J.M. Hirsch. J.M., great to see you. This sounds like a great appetizer to have for the, Super Bowl, the big game.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a time for indulgence, right? So we thought, we don't want one cheese. We don't want two cheeses. We want a three-cheese dip, right? I mean, come on, let's indulge.
I love it. Tell me how, and you say it's easy to make.
So easy. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, and you're going to love it. So what I've got here is one leek that I am sauteing over medium-low for about 10 or 12 minutes. And I've got to talk about leeks, okay? Because they're kind of the filthy trash panda of the vegetable world,
For sure.
okay? I hate to say it, They love to collect dirt in their nooks and crannies. So the way to do it, especially for this recipe, but for any recipe where you want chopped up, diced up leeks, trim off the top and the bottom. Slice them lengthwise down the middle, take each half, slice each one of those lengthwise down the middle, then hold them together and finally chop, okay?
Yeah.
Gather them all up, put them in a giant bowl of cold water, swish them around, and let all the dirt and sand and debris fall to the bottom. Let them sit for a while. You can let them sit for an hour if you want. And then take them out and then proceed, because otherwise you're going to get grit and sand in your leeks. They are just a filthy vegetable. Delicious, but filthy.
I hear you.
So we've cooked these in olive oil with a little bit of salt for about 10 or 12 minutes. You're not looking to brown them. You really just want to make them translucent and tender and yummy. And now, I'm going to turn those off because those are all set. And while those rest for a minute, well, actually, first, I take that back. We're going to add some heavy cream because did I mention that this is an indulgence? We're going to add about a quarter cup of heavy cream. And we're just going to stir that in and make it, luscious and creamy and, not heavy, just rich. Now we're going to leave that aside. All right. Then we're going to come over here and we have a 15 or 16 ounce container of whole milk ricotta cheese. I say 15 or 16 because it kind of depends on the brand you buy, how much you're going to get in the container. It doesn't matter. The extra ounce or not isn't going to make a difference in this recipe. But just buy one. The important thing is to make sure that you buy whole milk ricotta, because the others are going to feel not quite as indulgent if you go with skim or low fat or God knows, don't get fat free. So we're going to break up
What would you be thinking if you got fat free? It makes no sense.
That's an awful thing to do, especially for this event.
Awful.
All right. We're going to loosen it up a little bit and we're going to add one large egg yolk. There we go. Get in there. And then we're going to add about a quarter cup of grated Parmesan cheese and a half a cup of grated mozzarella. Now, let's talk mozzarella.
Yeah, let's talk mozzarella.
That's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah.
Now, normally, when we're doing mozzarella for, say, a salad, we're going to gravitate to the fresh mozzarella, right? And because, it's so tender, it's so briny, it's wonderful. Well, the problem with fresh mozzarella is that it tends to contain a lot of water. And so when you heat it up, it's going to leak all of that water into your dish, whether it's on a pizza or into pasta or a dip like this. So in this case, we want to get low moisture, whole fat mozzarella. This is the sort of stuff that you would also see grated for putting on top of a pizza. But we like to grate our own because it's fresher, so you just buy a block of it. It's available in every grocery store. But again, you don't want the fresh stuff.
Interesting.
To that, we're going to add a quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes, although, frankly, I would add more, and about the same amount of black pepper. And we're just going to stir that in. I like it a little spicier, but you can do you. You could also add a little bit of smoked paprika in this.
There you
nice.
Go.
Yeah. And if you wanted to mix up the cheeses, some smoked mozzarella would also be nice. And that's it. Now we have this all mixed in. Now we're going to take our leek mixture and add all of that yumminess to our ricotta and cheese mix.
I'm sorry to go back to this discussion here, but who would have thought to put leeks in a cheese dip?
Well, they are a delicious vegetable and they turn so mellow and sweet. And again, if you finely chop them, that is key here because you
Right.
don't want like a stringy vegetable mixed
Yeah,
into your
sure.
melted cheese.
Sure. Okay.
But if you chop them up really nice and thin and then cook them slowly so they become really tender,
Yeah.
they add a savory sweetness
I
that
like that.
balances the richness of the cheese. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
whatever you do, don't wash out your skillet
Okay.
because we have our cheese mixture here. We're going to put it down here and we're going to add our cheese mixture right back to the skillet that we cooked our leeks in. And I try to do this without like
Why
dropping my
wouldn't
bowl.
okay, JM, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
just put the cheese mixture in the pan with the leeks in the first place?
Well, you could do that. And if you're a better cook than me, I encourage you to do it. But I'm a mess. I'm just a mess. And I know that because of the
Oh,
low
you can
size
get
of the
it
pan,
in, you
I'm
can
gonna
mix it
throw
up
cheese
better.
all over the place.
Yeah, you can mix it up better in the bowl. I hear you now. I get it.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
gonna make a mess.
Okay.
And there we go. So we're gonna set that aside. And we're just gonna spread this nice and even across our skillet.
Yeah.
Okay. And then more cheese is better cheese, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to take some more grated Parmesan
Oh
and we're
my
going to spread it
gosh.
right
Oh
across
my
the
gosh.
top.
Oh my
There we
gosh.
go. Then, for good measure, some nice black pepper on the
Yeah.
top.
Nice.
Now, make sure when you're doing this that you use an oven-safe skillet, okay?
Sure.
Because now we're going to take this and we're going to pop this into a 400-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes.
Oh.
It's going to start to bubble. It's going to start to brown. It's going to be gorgeous and delicious. And this is what it's going to look like.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
We're going to pull one right out of the oven here.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong with this? It's amazing, right? Throw it on your trivet. Now, we have toasted some walnuts and then we broke them up and we're going to throw that on top. Walnuts aren't your thing. Pistachios would be wonderful. So would almonds. Throw those on. And for kind of a bright, fresh herbal counterpoint, we're going to throw in a little fresh dill.
Oh, perfect.
And
then what do you use to dip? What do you dip? What do you use to dip with?
What wouldn't you use to dip in this, right?
Yeah.
But what I have is just some sourdough bread that I cut up into batons and I toasted it. You drag that through, but if you want to use crackers or baguettes, any sort of like crostini, toasted small bit of bread is going to be lovely. Now, just remember when you take this out of the oven, the handle is going to be very hot. I have burned myself many a time that way.
JM, that looks awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to put the recipe on our website, but of course, you've got to check out the January, February edition of Milk Street Magazine.